Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. And so today's video, I'm going to be going through a complete guide for ranked for you guys to get hopefully towards that pro rank, or at least up until masters. Recently I reached masters pretty much solo, so I've got a good understanding of the meta, and it's only been about 5 days, but the meta shift has been pretty crazy with the gadget changes, hypercharges, with a bunch of buffs to a bunch of brawlers. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, starting off with Brawl center stage. Here are best picks on your screen right here. So the biggest change in the meta for me is absolutely pretty much like Ollie and Hank being the best brawlers in the game. Pretty much you want to ban them pretty much every single time, or of course pick them, but of course you need to hypercharge with Hank. If you don't have the hypercharge, this isn't a meme, it is broken, because it can just equal a team wipe, and especially if you combine Hank with a wall breaker, it doesn't matter if he dies 2, 3, 4 times in a row. If he just gets a hypercharge, he can get a team wipe with ease. So I won't explain that again, that's why he's so good. Ollie again with the recent buff with the jump gadget and the super, you can just create so much space with the super and the gadget combined, because of course it just takes you across the map, and then it also makes you hypnotize brawlers for 3.5 seconds if you land after the gadget. So it's just insane. Of course, Lou is really good. So with the meta how it is right now, what I recommend going every single time is, again, in your draft, you want a control brawler, you want an anti-tank, and then you probably want something aggressive, more than likely an assassin or a tank yourself, especially in Brawl. So Barry's going to be really good as well. We've seen in monthly finals, you pair Barry with a lot of any high HP brawlers, you're going to be able to just pop off with him. Of course, Barry, if you're playing with like randoms, it's not really advised, or if you're playing at a lower rank, because again, people don't know how to group up and especially get value out of it super. But if you're playing at the higher end, he's very good. Stu can get counted out by the pokos and stuff, so I'm starting to see a lot more poco as well with the gadget spam. I'm starting to see a lot more Griff with the gadget spam, and just also being one of the better counters to all those tanks. Otis really good on this map with the vision gear. Sandy still can get outranged by the other kind of lanes, but Sandy can just kind of do it all, especially once he gets his super farmed from most tanks. Again, you've got like Maisie, can be that good cleanup brawler. Meeple if paired with anti-tanks, and then late pick Rosa with a grow light gadget can be pretty good. Primo's a great counter to some assassins and some tanks out there. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's changed, and also Ruffs with the gadget spy. So now moving on to Pinball Dreams. Here your best picks on the screen right here. So we see a little bit of a change here on Pinball Dreams. Again, Ollie is undoubtedly the best brawler in Brawl here, because you can just use your jump gadget straight away and jump onto a thrower, jump onto a lane brawler, and you're pretty much going to kill them every single time with that gadget if you land on them. And of course the amount of space he can create, insane. Lou again to shut down all of those tanks. Stu can be just pretty good, although he's a bit more countered in this meta. I think he's still pretty versatile, because you can use wall break to break open the map. He's still going to feed a bunch of super from those tanks and whatever else. B is a very good pick in this meta, especially on Pinball Dreams with the rattled hive and the hypercharge. I wouldn't actually say necessarily you need the hypercharge, absolutely, it's just more for the gadget spam. Hank again, Juju. Max is a great counter to like B and other mids in the game. Griff, of course, Griff is such a good anti-tank, one of the best in the game right now, so using the gadget to open up the map, and especially pairing it with a B or just something else with good range as well. And again, you can go cheesy compositions as well. You can go Poco and like a Frank and just run it down on people. Again, what I recommend going is you can't go 2 brawlers with low DPS, or else you will get ran down. For example, I see a lot of teammates even at Masters rank go, I don't know, like Stu and Janet in the same composition. Well, that isn't going to work, because the opponents are just going to pick Poco in any tank, they're going to pick Bear in any tank, they're going to pick Max in any tank, etc. So you've got to bear that in mind. Also, throws can be pretty good here with Dynamite late pick. Melody is very good late pick right now in the meta. You've also got Shade with the recent gadget change. You've got a lot of different options. Rico is getting worse and worse in my opinion, because there's just so many run it down compositions. That's why Maisie is actually getting a bit better as well. For Brawl, we have Sneaky Fields here, your picks on the screen right here. So again, I don't think much has changed from center stage. It's pretty much the same. There's a few different combinations that you can try out. Ollie, of course, being really good. Hank still being Hank. B's very good on this map, because you pop on the vision gear and rattled hive, you can get so much lane coverage. Again, making sure that you got vision gear on some of your brawlers here. That's the big common mistake I see with a lot of people. If you have no brawlers with vision on your team, you're just going to get ran all over. It's just going to happen. Again, that's why Janet's really good, because of vision gear and also her gadget to scout the bushes. Again, Meeple's very good in pro play on this map, but you need to pair it with like a tank. Spike is the surprising pick here. A lot of people use Fertilize Spike on this map because it's just really easy to land your shots. Literally, you can see how closed off the lanes are. Well, Spike's always going to land the shots, and also, you know, paired with Fertilize, paired with him being a decent anti-tank, of course, he's going to do pretty well there. And of course, your tanks are going to be really good here with Ash just being so dominant with all of the changes. Poco is such a good counter to the likes of like Lou if you're using protective tunes, and then you can counter Max because of the heals and the healing spam that you can get. Also, you've got like Sandy that can pretty good. Squeak is really good later on in the draft with the wind-up gadget. You've got Ruffs as well, spamming his gadget and opening up the map. There's just a lot going on right now. Late picks as well. Of course, you've got Jackie with a gadget change. You've got Primo to counter any other tanks. Melody as well. Good Melody players are just absolutely insane with the hypercharge. There's so many good brawlers in this meta. On to Brew Hockey. Here are your best picks for below 0 on your screen right here. So this is a game mode where, of course, everybody's kind of just playing this for the first time in a sense, in a competitive nature. A lot of people liked Brew Hockey. Me, myself, I didn't mind it. It was pretty fun. But competitively, yeah, that's another discussion to have. Maybe in a couple of weeks when we try out even more and more. But when it first came out, it was pretty frustrating. Anyways, here are your best picks. So the best picks absolutely in Brew Hockey. The best two in my mind are Stu and Melody. Of course, you need good mobility in a game mode like Brew Hockey because the hockey puck just flies around the map a lot, and there's a lot of angles that you can just score from across the map, so you need mobility. So Stu with unlimited supers, of course, he's going to be able to super shot it as well, just getting more opportunities to score. Speed zone as well, helping you just get back and defend the goal a lot easier. Melody, again, free supers. What you can easily do is collect the hockey puck, you know, shoot the ball off to the side, super, and then super it in. It's just really easy. Of course, B, a nice open map like this, gadget spam is crazy. Ollie, even with it's a bit open, his gadget just creates a lot of space, and also his hypnotize feature allows you to bring the opponents away from the goal, or just at least, you know, freeze them in their tracks, so then your teammate can get an easy score. You know, Max, again, with the speeds, the gadgets, just to help you collect the puck. You always need a couple of brawlers that's able just to get the puck whenever you need it, because, of course, that's just vital. Control of the puck is always going to win you the game. Also, that's why Gray is so good on this map, because of the gadget, and then the super. You could easily just, like, pass the ball up, super, and then if you get, like, a good enough angle, so say, for example, all the enemies are clumped up on the right-hand side, you could just pass the ball up, super, and then you create space down the left hand side and just find an opening. That's why Gray's really good. Again, you've got Belle just to create space with the ricocheting of the shots. You've got Meg, you've got Leon as well with gadget spam. You've got Byron with his gadget spam. Poco, because a lot of people go low DPS brawlers here, so you can just go Poco and just spam those gadgets. Have I spammed gadgets enough here? Yeah, I think I have. There's only a couple of good last picks here, in my opinion. The likes of like BB with her healing gadget. Also Daryl, but there's not actually a lot of good late picks. Now moving on to Cool Box here, your best picks on your screen right here. So again, Melody's still going to be your best picks. Hank, again, it's a nice open map, so if you pair Hank with pretty much any support brawler, it's going to be really good, but still without it, he's good because he can just push up with his shield gadget, which again is unlimited charges. So then once the hyper charge comes out, overtime as well, it just equals a win. That's why he's really good in Brawl as well. B as well, Ollie, Max, the same brawlers. Great, again, all you need because of these walls, right? You can of course destroy the opponent's walls with the Walking King gadget. And then again, like a lot of people tend to like clump up in the middle, or you can create a good opportunity down the left hand side. Again, with Brawl Hockey, I should probably do a video on this in the future just to advise you guys, but it's pretty simple. You want to just make sure you got all lanes covered. So one person floating around the left, one person floating around the middle, one person floating around the right. But you kind of just want someone aggressive on the right hand side. That kind of middle person can defend. But a lot of the time in Brawl Hockey, I just like defending. Just making sure I've got all angles covered, making sure they can't score, because the second that their team is out of position, you can easily just create a goal from across the map. It's that easy, and especially if you've got a brawler with a good super, again like Max, Melody, Ollie to create space and get the opportunity, then it's going to work out. Leon again with the gadgets, a lot of walls here, so you can just spam his gadget like crazy. Gus, Byron as well. Poco, there's a lot of run it down compositions on this map because a lot of people like using snipers, so what I've tended to go a lot of times like Poco and Meg just to run them down. Again, like Lola and Byron just to run them down. Carl with the gadgets, run them down. Buster as well can be pretty good because you're grouping up a lot on this map. So yeah, Brawl Hockey is all about just good positioning and making sure you're not throwing at all, like making sure you're not out of position, else I'll just let you score straight away. Lastly, for Brawl Hockey, we have Super Center here. Best picks on the screen right here. So in terms of the changes, I just think Gray's just that bit better on this map. just because you got these mid walls at the beginning. So you can just push up with Grey, pop your gadget, and just get a free supercharge. And then B, of course, being still super good. Lou's really good because there's a couple of tanks here, and then his super can just zone the opponents, so then you have a free score. Again, Griff's really good to open up the map, and you can pair this with like Hank, for example, pair it with B, pair it with snipers, can be really good. Again, there's a lot of walls, so Poco's being used a lot on Brawl Hockey just to push the opponents back. Again, it's all about positioning, getting the opponents where they don't want to be, so then you can create a good opportunity. And of course, if you compare that with any wall break, it's going to allow you to score even easier. So again, that's why I like Griff, because you can break those back bumpers, for example, or just any of those walls near the opponent's goals. You can create some good goal scoring opportunities. Again, Bell for pressure, really, really good. I find Meeple's pretty decent here as well. We've seen a lot of like mid-range brawlers just for control, just making sure that you can chip the opponents down, because as soon as one person's dead, more than likely you find an opportunity to score, because two people, one person just can't cover all the angles possible to score. So that's what I find most of the time in Brawl Hockey. That's why I don't really find assassins that good in this game mode, in my opinion. Because again, if like the role of the assassins, right, is to constantly just go in, get aggro, you're going to end up dying a lot. But the thing is, if you die in Brawl Hockey, you kind of throw it. So that's why I don't really like Mortis too much, because I know Mortis is really good at low levels, but if you go in and you don't score, well, you've just put your team in a 2 versus 3 situation, and they can find an opportunity to score with ease, in my opinion. Again, like BB and Jackie, they can be good late picks, but it's more so making sure that you just don't die, because the second you die, you're pretty much going to concede every single time. So those are your best picks of Brawl Hockey. Good luck. Again, I might do a breakdown of this game mode if they keep it in ranked. I'm just scared they're going to remove it because of all the complaints. But anyways, those are all the best picks. So now I'm going to be moving on to Gem Grab, starting off with Double Swoosh here. Your best picks on the screen right here. So with Gem Grab, the introduction of Mr. P's hype charge has definitely helped him out. I wouldn't say he's good enough in Brawl Ball really, or in Brawl Hockey, just because a lot of time people just run it down, and especially because in like Brawl Hockey there's just so many goals, so his hypercharge is just not that effective. And then in Brawl Ball there's just too many like Poco and run it down compositions. But at least in Gem Grab, like, you can just be in the mid. Like, although he's terrible without his hypercharge, once you get it eventually through all the aggression, it's going to take over the game and win you the game absolutely. So he's like the best brawler in Gem Grab right now. Janet, I absolutely love playing, but hate facing against. The hype charge is so broken, and also her gadget to scan the bushes, of course, really good. Penny as a mid here, very, very good. A good counter to Mr. P as well. And just overall, the turret can just be really good in a safe spot. Jean again for the scouting. Pearl, Amber, those are the type of brawlers that are really relying on down the lane, because when you go Pearl defensive lane, you're easily going to heat it up, and then you pop the gadget that deals a lot of damage, and then you're going to win your lane easily. You can break up the map if you want to, but it's just really hard to push into a Pearl on this map for whatever reason, because again, you're just pretty safe in the bushes. You never know where she is. Amber again to break open the bushes if needs be with her super, and everything else is just pretty good. She has got a little bit worse in this meta, but she's still pretty solid on this map. In particular, Surge can be really good with the speed gear. Stu as well, of course, he's a little bit worse in the meta, but still speed zones are going to be really good. He can play as a mid, he can play as a lane if needs be. Otis, again, very, very solid option in the draft, because not really a lot counters Otis, especially with the vision gear and fat splatter gadget. Sandy as well. Make sure that you're picking Sandy a little bit later on in the draft, because he can get outranged and punished, but he can cycle supers with ease, especially Ash as well. He can just wreak havoc. You don't even have to pick him as a late pick. He can just destroy anybody right now in the meta. Draco as well, really good on this map. Buster, you've got the likes of like Kit, a little bit more advanced, but the reason why Kit's so good is because if you're just sitting in that left bush with your gem carrier, if anybody pushes up, then you can just jump on them, and then your mid can take them down. It's a really good pro strat. It does take a lot more coordination, but it definitely does work. Again, other picks that might surprise you, like Squeak, I've been really loving with wind up right now, especially as a mid even. Like, if someone approaches you, a lot of time those mid HP brawlers, they can just get one gadgeted and another shot and they're dead most of the time. And then late picks as well, you know, Mortis has been really good, Rosa with the grow light. So again, making sure that you've got at least one wall breaker in there, or something to burn the grass like Amber, or else Rosa will just run all over you. And Melody as well, the same goes with that. So that's Double Swoosh. So I'm moving on to Hard Rock Mine here. Your best picks on the screen right here. So you should be very surprised to see Ollie, Mr. P and Hank again. No, you can't be surprised whatsoever. Mr. P again is just so good, because you can play him as a lane, you can play him as a mid, and just overall, once the hyper charge happens, it will eventually happen. most of the time. And also you got your gadget spam. I forgot to mention that the gadget that I use, I think, is Portal Reinforcements. So although it's not like the greatest thing, it's just because you can just keep spamming it over and over again, and that's still you wasting the opponent's ammo. That's what you want to do with SP, is just waste as much ammo as possible, especially against those single shot brawlers. You know, Juju's still really good in this meta, particularly on this map, because you can be pretty safe in that grass. Stu again, speed zone or wall break if needed. Rico, it's not being played as much by the pros right now, but Rico's still a really good option in draft. I'd actually prefer Ruffs in the draft right now. I know I've not got it in that order in the graphic, but Ruffs is really, really good on this map with the, I forgot the gadget's called. The gadget that fires out a bunch of rockets, so you can just spam that like crazy, win your lane, win the game with the hypercharge super as well. Gene, really good to scout the bushes. Meeple is the revelation in this meta as well, because with the recent gadget changes, you can just throw out your dice gadget. You can box in the gem carrier with ease with your super as well, kill them. It's just a free kill. And also, if you're missing out on the range and you're getting out range, you can just throw that gadget, push up the map, and get some kills with ease. So I really like Meeple here. Ash as well. Again, what I suggest in the draft is making sure that you've got one aggressive brawler to just punish or try and press onto the gem carrier, and then of course you need an anti-tank as well. You always need these brawlers. Don't go to controllers. I'm fed up with people going there every single time, okay? And then you can see the rest of the brawlers. They're just filler brawlers, but it's just a lot of broken brawlers in Hard Rock Mine. And lastly, for gem grab, we have Undermine here. Your best picks on the screen right here. So one of my favorite brawlers again is Janet. You can play as a mid, you can play as a lane. Gadget completely scouts the lane, so really, really good here. Mr. and Ollie, no explanations needed. The other three brawlers in first pick, no explanation needed. Gus is a very good mid on this map in my opinion, because you can always be safe with Gus. You've always got his shield to help you out if you're close to death, knockback, etc. Ruffs again, the gadget spam down the lane is so toxic, and eventually, even if you're up against a tough matchup, I don't know, like a tank that's, you know, pressuring you, you can open up the map, and also he's going to feed you super and hypercharge super, so really, really good. Penny as well as a mid, very good on this map. Ash, you just hardly any stopping Ash hypercharge right now in this meta. The only real counters to tanks right now I've found are like Lou, Griff, Otis. It's pretty hard to find a really good anti-tank out there, so it's very, very dominated by those healer compositions. Again, Buster very good because his super can just cover the entirety of the lane. Squeak I'm finding as a very annoying pick right now, especially if the opponents are going a lot of control brawlers like Janet, for example, like Stu, like Penny. Well, Squeak is a great counter option to that Ruffs as well, so I'm finding I'm playing a lot of Squeak right now. Again, like Sandy can be good, sneaking up in the bush. Draco can be pretty good if you're a Draco player. Rosa can be good, again with the gadget, if there's no wall breakers or anything like that. Mortis as well. Melody, you know, Leon can be good with the gadget spam to help the gem carry out. Yeah, it's very messy meta on Undermine. So now we're going to be moving on to Hot Zone, starting off with Dueling Beetles. I'm just going to say Hot Zone is one of the most fun, but also one of the most crazy metas out there. It's just constant, just spam. So Ollie, Lou, and Meeple are going to be your best brawlers on this map. You might be surprised with Meeple, but again, the gadget's just so good at boxing people in, and he actually does a lot of damage with the recent reload buff as well. Very, very good. Berry, he's just broken on any Hot Zone map. You watch any monthly finals, you'll know how good he is. Pair it with anything, and if you know how to play Berry, it's literally game over to the opponents. Stu as well. I will say Stu is getting countered a lot more in Hot Zone because, again, people are going Berry, people are going Poco, people are going Frank, Draco, etc. And, of course, Hot Zone's about zone time, so you don't want to go too many snipers on this map. Again, that's a big issue, a big problem that people go too many times. They go, like, Bell and B or Gus and Bell. Well, you might be able to kill the opponent's lot, but they're just going to keep respawning and keep going onto the zone, for example, with like a Frank and a Grey, or a Draco and a Byron, something like that. It's just, people go too much control on this map. You need to brute force your way up the map. Also, I really like Griff, because Griff's a great counter to like Lou, Penny, or just any tanks to open up the map. His super damage buff that he got a couple of months ago has really helped him out there. B as well, pair that with Griff, or just in general with gadget spam. Just really good in Dueling Beetles even before the buffs and everything else like that. You've also got Melody, one of the best Hot Zone brawlers right now, and also really good into tanks. People might not believe that, but I found that because it charges a hype charge a lot. So once she gets a hype charge, she can team wipe with ease, especially with the shield gadget. Maisie as well, I'm finding I'm having to play, or someone in my team's having to draft a lot in Hot Zone right now because there's just too much Draco, Frank, nonsense going on. So Maisie's one of the only big shutdowns right there, especially on a more open map. Janet, of course, really, really good as well. Mr. P can be good, but later on in the draft, because Again, if they go too many aggressive brawlers, they might feed your hypercharge, but you just don't have the DPS to really deal with that. Late picks as well, you only really got to worry about Mortis if you go too many control brawlers. Sprout again too if you go too many control brawlers, any really thrower. So making sure you got at least one aggressive brawler that's going to push up and force the opponents back. Now moving on to open business here, your picks on the screen right here. So it's a very similar draft process to Dueling Beetles in my opinion, but of course there's just still a lot of nonsense going on. So I don't really notice any like differences really in the draft here. I would say the biggest thing about open business is the map can get opened up a lot more, so that's why you see a lot of Frank on open business, because the hypercharge can just break up everything. Again, that's why I go Griff a lot. You also got to consider like you can get spawn trapped really easily on open business. I tend to find a lot of time once I like win the first 2 interactions, the opponents just give up because it's so hard to push into so many of these brawlers. Again, just watch out for the berry nonsense. Meeple really good. Janet really good, even though people go a lot of like Draco, Poco, and a lot of healer compositions. At least Janet with the hypercharge is going to get so much value, so I really like that. Again, Maisie really underrated in hot zone right now to shut down all of these aggressive ideas. Throwers as well, a lot more prominent on this map, but they are getting counted out. That's why I'm not seeing a lot of like Larry and Barley recently, because although they might be good against controller compositions, any sort of aggro, they're just going to get ran all over completely with all of this gadget and hypercharged nonsense going on. And again, other brawlers you might be surprised about, you know, Shade can be pretty good on this map. Jackie can be very good with the recent gadget changes. That's all it really is. Exactly the same as Dueling Beetles. And lastly, for Hot Zone, we have parallel plays here. Picks on the screen right here. So I think I've only played this a handful of times, but the meta is pretty much the same as all the other Hot Zone maps, except for the late picks can definitely differ. So again, on this map, you want to make sure that you've got something aggressive on that right-hand zone. You want something defensive like a thrower or a tank counter down the left. And then you just want this brawler that can help pinch really well, or again like a thrower in the middle. You don't want 2 throws in the same composition, but you know what I mean. Anyways, you got Ollie, of course, really good in hot zone, jumping over the walls, blah blah. Hank being able to shoot through walls, hypercharge, yeah, you know that. RT, really good defensive brawler. You've got the gadget that can give you a free super. Of course, that's really useful and can defend against any sort of aggro incoming. Again, Lou, hot zone, of course, is really good. Meeple with his super can shoot through those unbreakable walls. Stu, again, really good. Berry can be super good, especially if you pair that with any aggro. I really like Berry here because what you can do, you can like go defensive Berry, and then you can help your tank or assassin push up on the zone with ease. And of course, yeah, but it's just you're able to take over quite easily. You've got Juju, you've got Melody, again, very good in hot zone. Again, you just got to make sure you got some type of thrower type. I like Mr. P here because you can actually pinch really well with him. Then, of course, his hype charge is going to help you out later on in the game. Other picks that are surprising, you know, Shade again, really underrated on this map. You've got Leon as well, can be pretty underrated. Late picks surprising. You need to know the setup, so it's Chuck. I've seen a lot of Chuck on this map, and it's really hard to stop unless you've just got a ridiculous hard counter like Cordelius or RT. So without that, Chuck's been winning a lot on this map. You know, late pick Dynamax as well, not as frequent as before, but definitely still pretty solid. Jackie with the gadget constantly running in, and Lily's not really as good as before. But yeah, you guys know parallel plays, just making sure that you're sending 2 brawlers left, 1 person right, and then you just got to go with it. Okay, so now moving on to the final game mode, we have a Knockout. Bell's Rock here is the best compositions on the screen right here. So in Bell's Rock, you're probably going to guess there is a lot of gadget spam. How many times have I said gadget spam? But seriously, a Knockout is a big problem because you got the brawlers like Gene with his Vengeful Spirits gadget. You can just use like 4 or 5 of those in a round. Same goes with Gray, of course, with his Walking Cane. It's so dangerous on Knockout. You've also got Brock with his Rocket. He's able to open up the entire map, and then you can also treat it like a Piper gadget to confirm kills, for example. And then, of course, you got to make sure that you've got like a thrower. So that's why I really like Sprout and Tick. They're just really toxic here. But then you can go like Gray to counter the throws. You can go Mr. P to act like that thrower that also counters snipers with his gadget. You've got Rico as well. That's just really annoying. That can just bounce, of course, infinitely. And he's also good at, especially if you're scared of like any late pick aggression, which you don't normally get too much in Bell's Rock. Of course, he's really good at cleaning up there. Again, in the draft, I always make sure that you've got that thrower and then something that can at least deal with aggression. So that's why a lot of people draft Pearl, for example. They draft RT, they draft Rico here, they draft like Bell because at least she can switch star powers to grounded. They draft like maybe Larry instead of like a more tank or assassin prone thrower like Sprout, for example. Again, like throwers, snipers as well. That's why people might prefer like Angelo, so he can jump away, Piper, you can switch over to knockback, etc. In terms of late picks, there's of course a few brawlers that you want to consider. I always ban like Kit or Daryl if the opponent has last pick, because it's just way too cheesy, especially if they get that combination. Miko can be pretty good as well. And that's about it. So next up we have Flare and Phoenix. So your best picks on the screen right here. So Flare and Phoenix, it is just a gadget spam fest. Gene being able to scout their bushes and then spam his gadget. Brock, he's able to open up the map with ease. Gray, he's able to just push up the map, spam gadgets, and win lane. Those three brawlers are so good on this map. Again, Juju can be really good because you've got so much grass, so you can just abuse her long range. And then at any given point, you can pop gadget, go invisible, get a free kill. Hank as well, of course, really good. Tick is really annoying in the knockout meta still. Again, I like these two brawlers, Pearl and RT. I always refer to them in the draft, in knockout, because you can never really go wrong with them. They're just pretty solid brawlers, and it's really hard to push into them two brawlers, especially if you're any type of aggressive brawler. Mandy, I forgot to also mention Mandy on Bell's Rock. She's definitely better here. She's better on the maps with a bit more grass, because then you can use your super more so as a surprise. Her hypercharge is very, very good in knockout right now, so super, super underrated in my opinion. You've also got Berry with the cheese strategies. You've got Buster as well, where you can pair with like a sniper down the right. And then once the gas closes in, you can use his super gadget to confirm kills. That's just how people do it. Again, late picks, you've got like Rosa as a surprise in late pick if the opponent has no wall breakers, which is actually pretty rare in knockout. But they have none, then it's just free Rosa, because you can just create havoc with the gadget and just get a lot of pressure. Daryl as a late pick is beautiful. Sprout, Grom, really good in knockout as a late pick as well. And yeah, Mr. P is not as good in knockout, by the way, because it takes forever to get the hypercharge. And moving into the final map of the video, there's only 15 maps this time and 5 game modes, but we have Out in the Open. So with Out in the Open, again, you've guessed it, Gene is going to be your best knockout brawler, because you can just use Vengeful Spirit with ease to confirm kills. And then of course you've got this little pocket here where you can just scout the bushes with one attack, vision gear. Of course Brock as well. Brock's always been good on Out in the Open, but you want to break that back wall first and foremost, then probably break the back left wall, or you want to try and break the opponent's grass, but be careful not to break the opponent's back wall. Just break the grass or break the left hand side where that barrel is, so then you know whether the opponents are in the grass or not. And that literally can win you the game sometimes, because if they're exposed, a lot of the time their natural position, well, the natural reaction is just to run back and lose position on the map, but you can't do that out in the open. So making sure, again, you've got that one brawler down the right hand side to get the aggression. So that's why I either go like maybe even Gene down the right hand side to scout. That's why I maybe go like Pearl to just push forward. RT, the brawler with the most HP, you probably want to use to just push forward down the right hand lane and force the opponents into the back left corner. That's what you're doing out in the open. Again, it's very sniper heavy. You can have Bell to counter Gene compositions. You've got Mandy, who's just broken in knockout. You've got Eve, who can just float around the left and just help you not get spawn traps, and the hypercharge is still really good. You've got Nanny to counter multiple snipers, so if the opponent's going like Piper, Brock, or just, I don't know, Bell, Mandy, then Nanny's a really good counter, by far the best counter, and really good on this map. Again, you've got like Buster compared with Max. You've got like 8-bit as a late pick. You've got Mr. P as a late pick, not really the greatest. And the only good 6 picks, in my opinion, again, like Daryl and Kit. The rest of them aren't actually that good, in my opinion. So that's going to be it for today's video. A lot of waffling, a lot of explaining the meta and the gadgets. But yeah, a lot has changed. Again, I'm probably going to be wrong about a few of these because the meta will shift again, but I would do a tier list in the future. But this should really help you out, because I feel like a lot of people are missing out on these really important picks that are just so obvious to me, but not obvious to everyone. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.